What's your an eye for an eye story? The hospital people told me my wife died and that it was just one of those things that happens sometimes. Jenny went in for her gallbladder and was making jokes about getting home for Natalie's dance thing that weekend, but then she was just gone. They gave me this whole speech about unavoidable complications, and I just sat there like an idiot trying to understand how someone dies from gallbladder surgery. It wasn't until I went through Jenny's work bag 3 weeks later that I found out the truth. I found this random note with my name on it. It said to meet someone at this cafe and that Jenny deserved better. I almost tossed it, but something made me show up. This nurse was there when I showed up, and she was super nervous the whole time. She told me the doctor who did my wife's surgery, Dr. Morrison, was wasted that morning. She could smell the booze on him, and his hands were shaking. She said he nicked an artery and didn't notice Jenny was bleeding out until it was too late. The really messed up part was she told her boss right after, and they basically told her to shut up about it. She then showed me a recording on her phone of Morrison after the surgery, and he was completely slurring his words. Then she gave me names of other people who were there and basically ran out of the cafe. When I went to the hospital with the recording, they got all threatening, said I couldn't use it in court, and sent me legal papers about how I was too emotional to think straight. That nurse got moved to nights and then suddenly quit. Nobody else would talk to me after that. I tried calling lawyers, but they all said the same thing about needing actual proof. The medical board told me they needed official documentation, not hearsay. Everything felt hopeless, and Natalie even kept asking when the bad doctor was going to jail, and I had nothing to tell her. I wasn't sleeping anymore. I'd sit up all night replaying that nurse's words about how long Jenny bled while he was too wasted to notice. I felt like I was screaming underwater and nobody could hear me. The system that ended Jenny's life was protecting itself, and I was just some nobody they could wait out until I gave up or went crazy. I'd see Morrison's car in the doctor's lot, and my hands would shake with rage. That's when I started planning stuff. I started hanging around the hospital at different times, just watching how things worked. Jenny's key card still worked, and I used it to walk around at night. Everything changed when I got into Morrison's office and found out he was having knee surgery in a few weeks. I researched everything about knee surgery and what could go wrong. Morrison was on blood thinners and definitely wasn't supposed to drink for 2 days before. Part of me knew Jenny would hate what I was about to do, but that part was getting quieter every day. The night before his surgery, I had this fancy whiskey delivered to his house with a note saying it was from some patient. I watched him take it inside. By 10, I could see him through the window just going to town on that bottle. At 3 in the morning, I went into the hospital with Jenny's key card. I found his morning meds and switched his anxiety pills with caffeine pills that would jack up his heart rate. I was in the waiting room when they wheeled him by the next morning. He looked like garbage, and the nurse was checking his blood pressure with this worried look. I waited outside recovery until they let me in. When I walked into his room, Morrison was awake, but his eyes were different. Wild, terrified. His hands were shaking just like they did when he ended Jenny's life. Morrison saw me and tried to sit up but couldn't. That's when I pulled out Jenny's badge and set it on his bedside table. His face went white. He tried to call for security, but his voice wouldn't work right. I leaned in close and told him I knew about the caffeine pills, how they'd made his heart race during surgery, how the anesthesiologist noted alcohol on his breath. I told him about the moment during his surgery when his vitals spiked and they almost lost him, how he'd been aware but paralyzed for part of it, feeling them cut into him but unable to scream. He was sobbing now, begging me to get him help, saying something was still wrong. I told him that's how Jenny felt, bleeding out while he was too wasted to notice, except she didn't get to wake up. His monitor started going crazy, real panic attack. Nurses rushed in, but I stayed calm and told them he was having a reaction to his medication. They sedated him while he tried to scream through the oxygen mask that I'd done something to him. But who believes a post-op patient over a grieving widower? After that, everything came out. They tested his blood and found the alcohol. He lost his license and now he's terrified of any medical stuff. I got probation. Now I'm sitting here with this settlement money I don't even want, and Jenny's still dead. Natalie asks if mommy would be proud, and I tell her yes, but I can't look her in the eye.